It was an ordinary day on Earth, or so it seemed. The sun rose, cities buzzed with life, and the usual hustle and bustle filled the air. But something big was about to change. An unexpected broadcast interrupted television channels, radio stations, and every communication network across the globe. It was a message from the Kshoran Empire, a powerful alien race that had been observing humanity for years. The tone of the message was chilling, and the words they spoke shook the very foundations of Earth. The leader of the Kshoran, Supreme Commander Korak, appeared on every screen. His voice was cold, authoritative, and full of arrogance. "People of Earth," he began, "we are the Kshoran Empire, and we have been watching your species grow. You are an insignificant race, but your rapid expansion and technological advancements have caught our attention. This, however, will not be tolerated. We, the Kshoran, declare war on humanity. Your existence threatens the balance of the galaxy, and we shall wipe you out in the name of order." The broadcast lasted for only a few minutes, but in that short time, Korak's words sunk deep into the hearts of every person on Earth. There was no warning, no negotiations, just a cold declaration of war. As soon as the broadcast ended, the sky above Earth darkened. The alien fleet had already arrived, their massive ships taking positions around the planet, ready to strike. Around the world, panic began to spread. Governments scrambled to respond, military forces mobilized, and citizens panicked, wondering what would happen next. No one was prepared for this. The people of Earth had never fought a war with aliens before. How could they? But there was one thing the aliens didn't know. Humanity had been preparing for this very moment for years. Deep within secret military bases, humans had developed technology far beyond the Kshoran's understanding. It was a technology that could change the course of the entire galaxy. General Lena Roth, the leader of Earth's defense forces, stood in a command center, watching the broadcast with a calm expression. Her mind was already calculating the next move. She had anticipated something like this, even if the attack had come sooner than expected. She had known that one day, a powerful race would come to Earth and declare war. It was no surprise that it was the Kshoran. Turning to her advisors, General Roth spoke with unwavering confidence. "Prepare the fleet. Activate the Horizon Protocol. We're going to show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The Horizon Protocol was a secret weapon, one that humanity had been building for years. It was their ace in the hole, something that the aliens would never expect. As the news spread, a sense of hope began to replace the fear. The humans were ready, and they would not go down without a fight. The first strike of the war had been made, but humanity was not ready to surrender. They were determined to defend their planet, and they had a plan. The aliens might have declared war, but they had no idea what they were about to face. As the alien ships loomed above Earth, their size and power beyond anything humanity had ever seen, the world held its breath. Fear spread like wildfire, and uncertainty filled the air. People across the globe rushed to shelters, and the government scrambled to organize a defense. The question on everyone's mind was simple: could humans survive this? Could they win against an enemy so powerful? But while panic gripped most, there was one group that remained calm: the leaders of Earth. General Lena Roth stood at the head of Earth's military operations, a woman known for her sharp mind and calm demeanor under pressure. She had been waiting for this moment for years. She knew that humanity's survival depended on something the aliens didn't expect. "Activate the Horizon Protocol," General Roth ordered, her voice steady and confident, even as the world outside trembled. The Horizon Protocol was not just a plan. It was humanity's secret weapon. Created in the shadows, it was a technological marvel that combined human ingenuity with a deep understanding of alien tech. For years, the world's brightest minds had worked together in secret, developing the best defense humanity could offer. Within minutes, the world's defense systems came to life. Satellites, deep space warships, and hidden military bases all began to hum with activity. Earth had prepared for this moment with a level of precision and secrecy that even the Kshoran couldn't have predicted. Lena watched as the data came in, seeing the movement of the alien ships, their size and power, and the weapons they carried. But instead of fear, she felt something else, a sense of control. Earth wasn't defenseless. Humanity had outsmarted the aliens before, and they were about to do it again. The first phase of the Horizon Protocol was simple but effective, creating a shield around Earth, a barrier so powerful that it would prevent the Kshoran's weaponry from reaching the planet. The shield was powered by a combination of energy sources the Kshoran had never encountered, and the moment it activated, the alien forces were forced to halt their advance. Meanwhile, humanity's fleet was mobilized. Hidden deep in space, the human warships came to life. They were smaller than the Kshoran ships, but their weapons were far more advanced. The ships had been equipped with energy-based weapons that could disrupt the alien technology. They also had cloaking devices, allowing them to strike without being detected. General Roth watched the first wave of human warships launch from their hidden stations. She knew that the Kshoran would underestimate them. They thought humans were weak, that they were unprepared. But the truth was, humanity had been preparing for this day for a long time. As the warships entered space, they moved swiftly and silently, appearing from nowhere, striking at the heart of the Kshoran fleet. The aliens had no time to react. Their massive ships, built for brute force, were no match for the agility and precision of the human fleet. Within minutes, Earth's defense system had turned the tide of battle. The Kshoran, expecting an easy victory, were now struggling to hold their ground. General Roth knew the war had only just begun, but the first victory had already been won. Humanity had shown that they could stand their ground against even the most powerful force in the galaxy. In the control room, the atmosphere was one of quiet confidence. The tide was turning, and Earth was ready to fight. General Roth stood tall, looking out at the screens, her mind already working on the next move. There was no turning back now. Humanity would not surrender. They would fight, and they would win. The calm in Earth's control rooms quickly turned into a storm of activity as the first human counterattack began. General Lena Roth stood in front of the main monitor, watching as humanity's fleet moved into position. Her mind was sharp, calculating every move as she gave orders over the comms, the hum of advanced technology filling the air around her. On the surface, the battle between Earth and the Kshoran Empire looked uneven. The Kshoran ships were enormous, each one the size of a city, equipped with weapons capable of wiping out entire civilizations. In contrast, humanity's warships were smaller and seemed like ants compared to the mighty alien vessels. But the human ships had something the Kshoran didn't expect: speed, agility, and technology that could disable the Kshoran's powerful weaponry. As the first human fleet appeared from the shadows of deep space, the Kshoran ships, caught by surprise, immediately fired their weapons, sending blasts of energy towards Earth's forces. The human fleet responded quickly, dodging and weaving through the Kshoran's deadly shots. It was like watching a dance, the human ships moving with grace while the Kshoran struggled to aim their massive weapons. The first wave of human warships, using their cloaking technology, struck quickly, appearing out of nowhere and targeting the Kshoran's weak spots. Their first target was a Kshoran destroyer, its immense structure giving the humans a prime opportunity. With pinpoint accuracy, the human fleet fired energy beams that ripped through the alien ship's armor. The Kshoran ship, unprepared for such a precise strike, exploded into a flash of light. The Kshoran commanders were stunned. Their ships had been designed to withstand attacks from other alien species, but nothing like this had ever happened before. They tried to retaliate, but their weapons were ineffective against the human ship's advanced shielding systems. The Kshoran were used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, but this was different. The humans weren't running away or cowering in fear. They were fighting back, smartly, effectively, and with a level of precision that the Kshoran had never encountered. On Earth, people were beginning to notice the change. The media, once filled with panic and uncertainty, now reported on the unexpected success of humanity's first strikes. The world began to cheer, but General Roth knew that the battle was far from over. The Kshorin might have been caught off guard, but they weren't about to give up so easily. The second wave of human warships joined the fray, each ship carrying an AI-driven strategy system that helped them predict and counter the Kshorin's movements. Earth's warships continued to strike, targeting vulnerable points on the Kshorin ships, including their engines and energy sources. The Kshorin, growing more frustrated with every passing second, started to panic. They had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back. They thought humans were primitive, but in reality, humans had been preparing for this day for a long time. As the battle continued, the Kshorin's massive fleet began to fragment. Some ships attempted to retreat, while others tried to retaliate with desperate, sloppy attacks. But every time they launched an attack, humanity's ships would dodge, counter, and strike back with even more power. On the front lines of the war, the human soldiers aboard their ships felt the adrenaline coursing through them. They were fighting not just for their survival, but for the survival of their entire planet. The first strike had been a success, but they knew that this was only the beginning. There was still a long way to go before victory could be secured. Yet the humans were determined. And this was only the first chapter of a much bigger story. As the battle raged on in the vastness of space, the Kshorin Empire began to realize just how much they had underestimated humanity. Their fleets, once filled with confidence, were now being torn apart by the relentless human counterattacks. The Kshorin, with their massive ships and superior firepower, had thought Earth would be an easy target. But the humans had something they didn't expect, an edge that was proving to be far more powerful than raw size and strength. General Lena Roth stood before the war room's holographic display, watching as her fleet moved into new positions. Her strategy was simple yet effective: use the Kshorin's overconfidence against them. The Kshorin were used to fighting battles with overwhelming firepower, but humanity's strength lay in adaptability and precision. The Kshorin had designed their ships with formidable weapons, powerful shields, and armor. But humanity had learned to exploit the one thing the Kshorin overlooked: their reliance on brute force. The Kshorin ships were built for direct, overwhelming attacks, but they weren't built for speed or maneuverability. They had no defense against the kind of hit-and-run tactics that humans were now using with brutal efficiency. Earth's warships, using the technology developed under the secret Horizon Protocol, continued to evade the Kshorin's attacks. The human ships would fire their energy weapons in short, focused bursts, targeting weak points on the Kshorin vessels. They hit engines, power cores, and critical weapon systems, each strike carefully aimed and devastating. Meanwhile, the Kshorin's mighty weapons, designed to destroy whole fleets in one shot, were rendered useless by Earth's new shield technology. The human shields, developed using alien technology found years earlier, absorbed and deflected the Kshorin's energy blasts. Every time the Kshorin fired, their shots bounced off like rain hitting a strong, unyielding wall. The Kshorin commanders were growing increasingly frustrated, watching as their mighty ships were slowly destroyed by a much smaller and weaker force. Human warships, many of them hidden in the deep recesses of space, would strike and disappear into the shadows, appearing only to fire and then vanishing again. The Kshorin ships, too large and too slow to react, were easy targets. One by one, Kshorin destroyers fell, each explosion lighting up the dark expanse of space. The Kshorin had never faced a battle like this before, and they were struggling to find a solution. On Earth, people were beginning to watch in awe as the war unfolded. The initial panic had turned into a collective sense of disbelief. The humans were winning. They had prepared for this moment, and now they were proving just how resilient they were. Earth's soldiers, once unsure about the outcome of the war, were now fighting with a renewed sense of pride and determination. Every strike against the Kshorin was a testament to humanity's strength. General Roth remained calm, watching her fleet continue its work. Her tactics were paying off. The Kshorin were retreating, unable to cope with the humans' technological superiority and their ability to adapt in the heat of battle. The fight was far from over, but the tide of the war had already started to shift in humanity's favor. The Kshorin had come to Earth believing they were invincible. But in that moment, as their ships crumbled, they realized something that could never be erased. Humanity was not the weak, primitive species they had thought. They were strong, smart, and more than capable of defeating any foe, no matter how powerful. The battle for Earth was far from won, but one thing was clear. The Kshorin Empire would never look at humanity the same way again. The Kshorin fleet was now in chaos. The once proud empire, feared across the galaxy, found itself struggling to defend its ships against the relentless onslaught of humanity. What had begun as a confident declaration of war had quickly turned into a nightmare for the aliens. Their vast warships, designed to overwhelm entire planets, were being torn apart by the human fleet, smaller, faster, and equipped with technology that the Kshorin had never anticipated. On Earth, people watched with bated breath as reports came in from space. News broadcasts, once filled with panic and despair, now showed images of the human fleet's success. The Kshorin fleet was in retreat, their ships drifting aimlessly, some abandoned entirely by their crews. The initial surprise of the first strike had turned into pure shock. Humanity was winning. The Kshorin, who had believed their strength would crush the humans in mere hours, were now questioning everything. Commander Korak, the leader of the Kshorin forces, paced nervously on the bridge of his flagship, staring out at the carnage unfolding before him. His thoughts raced. How had this happened? How had the humans been able to fight back so effectively? They were supposed to be a primitive species, a footnote in the galaxy, not a threat to a powerful empire like the Kshorin. Korak had underestimated the humans in a way that no one in the galaxy could have imagined. The Kshorin had expected their enemies to panic, to crumble under the weight of their superior technology. But instead, the humans fought back with something even more powerful: creativity, resourcefulness, and an unshakable will to survive. The Kshorin had never encountered an enemy that fought this smart. The human fleet, under General Roth's leadership, kept pushing forward. The aliens tried to regroup, pulling what was left of their forces together for a counterattack. But it was too late. Humanity's warships had already inflicted too much damage. Alien ships that had once been considered invincible were now nothing more than hulking wrecks, floating lifeless in the void of space. Back on Earth, the mood was shifting. What began as fear and uncertainty had turned into exhilaration. People cheered as each victory was reported. They had watched for years as the Kshorin Empire grew, dominating planets and star systems. Now, humanity, seemingly so small and insignificant, was turning the tide of the war in a single day. In the command room, General Roth's eyes never wavered from the holographic map of the battlefield. Every strike, every move was calculated with precision. She knew the Kshorin were strong, but they were arrogant, and their overconfidence had been their downfall. The Horizon Protocol had given humanity an edge, but it was their adaptability, their ability to learn from each encounter, that was winning the war. "Prepare the next wave," she ordered calmly. The next phase of the attack was already set in motion. It wasn't enough to simply win a few battles. Earth needed to finish what it had started. As the human fleet moved in for the next strike, the Kshorin were left scrambling. Their ships, already damaged from earlier attacks, couldn't hold out much longer. The humans had shown no mercy, no hesitation, and no fear. The Kshorin had failed to crush Earth, and now they were realizing that humanity's spirit was stronger than anything they could ever have imagined. The war had taken a turn no one could have predicted. The Kshorin, once the most feared empire in the galaxy, were now fighting for their very survival. And humanity, with all its flaws and weaknesses, was proving that it was a force to be reckoned with. Commander Korak stood at the center of the bridge, his mind racing. The once imposing Kshorin fleet was in ruins. Alien warships, built to withstand any enemy, were now nothing more than debris floating in the cold expanse of space. The humans, those creatures that Shorin had dismissed as weak, had proven to be far more formidable than anyone had imagined. Re-establish communication with the High Command, Korak barked, his voice filled with frustration. We need reinforcements now. But the response from the Shorin leadership was slow. The command center, which had once been a well-oiled machine of decision-making, was now disorganized and chaotic. Officers and strategists, once full of confidence, were starting to panic. Reports kept coming in of more human warships appearing from the shadows, attacking without warning and disappearing before the Shorin could react. Every attempt to regroup was thwarted by the humans' superior tactics. Korak slammed his fist on the console in front of him. He had never seen his empire in such disarray. The Shorin were supposed to be invincible. They were supposed to crush these humans in minutes, not hours. Instead, the humans had taken the initiative, striking their ships where they were weakest, rendering their mighty war machines useless. The Shorin were fighting not just against a stronger enemy, but against the very reality of their own arrogance. Back on Earth, General Lena Roth continued to lead the fight with quiet determination. As more Shorin ships fell, humanity's confidence grew. It was almost surreal. The once feared empire was now retreating, and the world's population could hardly believe their eyes. Earth had survived, and more than that, it was winning. However, General Roth knew that this victory, though hard-earned, was not yet complete. The Shorin leadership had not yet fully crumbled, and as long as they had any fighting strength left, they were still a threat. She ordered a final strike at the Shorin's central command ship, the heart of their empire. If they could take that down, the Shorin would be completely crippled. It was time to end this once and for all. As the human fleet approached the Shorin flagship, Commander Korak's anxiety reached a boiling point. His once proud empire was falling apart. The leadership of the Shorin, once united, was now fractured. Some of the most powerful generals had begun to question Korak's decisions, and whispers of rebellion had started to spread. The once strong bonds of loyalty within the Shorin Empire were now breaking apart. His officers were losing faith in his ability to lead them to victory. Korak tried to rally his remaining forces, but the words felt hollow. The damage was done. His leadership had failed, and the Shorin fleet was losing the will to fight. The Shorin commanders, once proud and confident, were now questioning their place in the galaxy. Many of them began to abandon their posts, fearful of what would come next. On the human side, the final attack was underway. The Shorin flagship, once an imposing symbol of their power, was now on the verge of collapse. The humans had not only fought back with superior technology, but had shown something the Shorin never expected, a spirit that could not be broken, no matter the odds. The final blow came swiftly. The Shorin flagship, with most of its command center in chaos, fell silent as a massive energy beam from the human fleet tore through its shields. The flagship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending shockwaves through the remaining Shorin ships. As the dust settled, the battle was over. The Shorin leadership had crumbled, and the war that had started with a declaration of domination had ended with the complete defeat of the Shorin Empire. General Roth stood tall, her eyes scanning the results of the victory. The battle was won, but humanity knew that there would be more challenges ahead. For now, however, Earth had proven one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Shorin fleet was broken. Their flagship had fallen, and with it, the Empire's hopes of dominating Earth. General Lena Roth stood in the heart of the control room, her hands clasped behind her back as she stared at the holographic displays. The battle had been fierce, but now, the tides had shifted in humanity's favor. The Shorin were in retreat, their once proud fleet scattered across the galaxy, broken and leaderless. Yet, Lena knew that this wasn't over. The Shorin might be on the run, but there was still a critical task to finish. The heart of their empire had been dealt a crushing blow, but Earth needed to ensure that their victory was permanent. The remaining Shorin forces were dangerous, desperate, and unpredictable. This was humanity's chance to end the war once and for all. "Prepare the final assault," General Roth said with quiet determination, her voice carrying the weight of the decision. "We end this today." Across Earth, the news of the Shorin's retreat spread like wildfire. People cheered in the streets, celebrating a victory they had never thought possible. Their planet was safe. For now, the nightmare was over. But Lena Roth knew better. The real danger was still out there, waiting. The remaining Shorin ships, now scattered and leaderless, could still regroup and fight back if given the chance. Humanity's final assault wasn't just about pushing the Shorin out of Earth's space. It was about completely destroying their ability to return. Earth's warships, now fully operational, prepared to strike deep into the Shorin-controlled space, targeting their last remaining strongholds. The Shorin were no longer an immediate threat to Earth, but they were still a threat to the galaxy. It was time to ensure that they would never rise again. The human fleet surged forward, their sleek warships cutting through space with surprising speed. Their advanced technology, honed in the heat of battle, had become their greatest asset. The Shorin had expected humanity to fall apart after their initial losses, but instead, Earth's forces had only grown stronger. Every attack, every battle had taught the humans something new, and they had adapted. As Earth's ships entered Shorin space, the silence of space seemed to stretch on forever. There was no communication, no sign of the Shorin forces. But General Roth knew that the enemy would not go down without one final stand. Deep in the heart of Shorin territory lay their last hope, a massive station that served as the final command center for the remnants of their fleet. If the station fell, so would the Shorin Empire. Lena's fleet approached the station with methodical precision. They would not underestimate the Shorin again. The station was well guarded, but it was no match for the full force of Earth's warships. The humans had the element of surprise and the advantage of superior technology. As Earth's fleet launched their final attack, the station's defenses were overwhelmed within minutes. The station's explosion lit up the void of space like a star being born. The final blow had been struck. Back on Earth, the news reached the people. The war was over. The Shorin had been defeated. Humanity, once seen as weak and insignificant, had emerged victorious. It had taken only a single day for the war to turn in their favor. And now, it was over. The Shorin would never return. General Lena Roth stood in front of the command center's main screen, watching the explosion in the distance. There were no words she could say that could capture the weight of the victory. Humanity had done the impossible. They had fought, they had survived, and they had won. But even as Earth celebrated, General Roth knew that this victory was just the beginning. The galaxy had taken notice of humanity's strength, and there would be challenges ahead. Earth's future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. The Shorin had learned that lesson the hard way. The war had ended. The Shorin Empire, once a dominant force in the galaxy, had been brought to its knees by humanity's unexpected strength. Their fleets were shattered, their leaders were in disarray, and their mighty empire was now a broken shadow of its former self. For Earth, it was a moment of triumph. For the galaxy, it was a moment of disbelief. In the aftermath of the final battle, Earth's leaders began to assess the damage. The Shorin were defeated, but there were still lingering questions. What would happen next? How would the galaxy react to humanity's rise? And what would become of the Shorin? General Lena Roth stood before the council, the weight of their victory still settling in her mind. The war had been brutal, but it had been necessary. The Shorin had underestimated humanity, thinking that they could be wiped out in a matter of hours. But humanity had survived, adapted, and fought back. Now, the galaxy had to understand that humans were no longer a species to be ignored or taken lightly. The first sign of the Shorin's surrender came when a small ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was a message from the Shorin High Command, led by the remnants of the once feared leadership. Korak, the commander who had led the invasion, had sent a personal envoy to Earth. The time for war was over. The Kshoran were ready to negotiate. Lena Roth sat in her command center, watching the alien ship approach. It was a humbling sight, knowing that the once mighty Kshoran were now humbled before humanity. But she didn't show it. She remained calm, her eyes locked on the monitor as the ship descended into Earth's atmosphere. The Kshoran envoy was escorted into the council chambers, a mix of fear and resignation in their eyes. Korak, once proud and confident, stood with his head bowed. He had never imagined that the war would end this way. His people had been defeated by a species they thought was inferior, a species that had now become the new rulers of the galaxy. The meeting was brief. The Kshoran knew they had no choice. Their fleet was in ruins, their empire was collapsing, and the humans were offering the only option left: surrender. "We accept the terms of your surrender," Korak said, his voice heavy with defeat. "We were wrong to underestimate you. The Kshoran Empire will recognize humanity as a dominant power in the galaxy. We will cease all hostilities and comply with your demands." General Roth stood, her expression hard as steel. She had not fought this war to show mercy. Earth's terms were simple. The Kshoran would leave all territories they controlled. They would pay reparations for the destruction they had caused, and they would recognize humanity as an equal, not an inferior species. The Kshoran were to help rebuild the damage they had done to Earth's colonies and offer support in humanity's rise as a galactic power. The terms were accepted. The Kshoran, once conquerors, were now subjugated, and humanity, the species once thought weak and insignificant, had emerged victorious. As the Kshoran envoy left Earth's orbit, the humans stood united in their victory. The war had been long, the sacrifices had been great, but humanity had proven its worth. Earth had not only survived, it had become the force that the galaxy would have to reckon with. But General Roth knew that this victory was only the beginning. There were other empires out there, other powers that would test humanity's resolve. The galaxy was vast, and there would be more challenges to face. But for now, humanity had earned its place among the stars, and they would not be forgotten. The war was over, but for General Lena Roth and the people of Earth, the victory felt bittersweet. The Kshoran Empire had been defeated in a matter of hours, their once powerful fleet shattered, and their leadership crumbling in surrender. But even in victory, the true cost of the war began to settle in. Humanity had survived, but the galaxy had witnessed Earth's rise from a fragile species to the new power in the cosmos. The world was in celebration, but behind closed doors, Earth's leaders were already discussing the future. The Kshoran had agreed to the terms of surrender, but there were still many questions to answer. What would Earth's new role in the galaxy be? How would the galaxy's other races react to humanity's sudden dominance? And how could Earth maintain its newfound power without becoming the next target of other hostile forces? Lena Roth stood on the balcony of the command center, staring out at the bustling city below. The streets were filled with people celebrating, waving flags, and chanting the name of humanity's greatest hero. General Roth was proud of what they had achieved, but she also knew the challenges ahead. The Kshoran Empire had been just one power in the galaxy, and many more remained. Humanity might have won this battle, but the war for the galaxy's future was far from over. "General," a voice called behind her. It was one of her advisors, Captain Mark Sullivan. "We've received a communication from the Zorvian Council. They want to meet." Lena turned, her eyes narrowing. The Zorvian were an ancient race, powerful and proud. They had kept to themselves for centuries, observing the galaxy from afar. She had heard rumors that they were concerned about the rise of humanity. But now, the invitation to meet was real. "We'll go," Lena said, her voice calm but firm. "Prepare the fleet." In the days that followed, humanity made its first move to solidify its place in the galaxy. The Zorvian Council had requested a meeting, and Earth was ready to show them that humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. The Zorvian, like the Kshoran, had never seen humanity as a threat. But after Earth's shocking victory, the galaxy's oldest races were beginning to take notice. Lena and her team boarded the human flagship, a sleek and powerful ship that now served as a symbol of Earth's strength. As they traveled through space, approaching the Zorvian homeworld, Lena couldn't help but think of how much had changed in such a short time. Earth had been on the brink of destruction, facing an alien empire that had almost wiped them out. But now, humanity was heading toward the heart of Zorvian territory, uninvited, but not afraid. The Zorvian planet loomed ahead, a dark, cold world shrouded in mystery. As the human fleet entered its atmosphere, they were greeted by a silent but unmistakable presence. Hundreds of Zorvian ships, far more advanced than the Xorans, hovered in the distance, watching. "General," Captain Sullivan said, his voice tense, "this could get complicated." "I know," Lena replied, her gaze fixed on the fleet before them. "But we've made our mark. The galaxy won't forget what humanity is capable of." The Zorvian Council would decide the future of Earth's role in the galaxy, but one thing was clear. Humanity had earned its place. No longer the weak, insignificant species they once were, Earth had proven that it could survive, adapt, and thrive. And now, humanity was ready for whatever challenge the galaxy had in store.